Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Rewind that. It's your girl Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Today, guys, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're talking about House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 1, called The Heirs of the Dragon. All right, guys. Many of you already know that I love Game of Thrones, and it was my favorite show, okay, until the bloody end, unfortunately. And this House of the Dragon, the prequel to basically A Song of Ice and Fire, this is something like a dream come true, guys, okay? So we're going to get into it, and we're going to have some fun. Well, at least I'm going to have some fun talking about this show, okay? So the episode starts off with a vote of succession, okay, between old King Jaehaerys' grandchildren, Rhaenys and Viserys. Although Rhaenys was the eldest descendant of King Jaehaerys, the lords of the kingdoms chose Viserys, his oldest male heir, okay? Because of course a woman could never sit on the Iron Throne, right? But anyway, let's take a moment to acknowledge the original theme song from Game of Thrones playing in the background, okay, guys? I live, okay? Really loved and appreciated this. All right, now break over. So King Jaehaerys called the Great Council to help settle the claim of succession because he didn't want his family fighting over the throne after he died. So he wanted the matter settled before he died to prevent a war, right? So obviously King Jaehaerys was wise enough to know that nothing could tear down the Targaryen dynasty but the Targaryens themselves. Unfortunately, the very thing the old King Jaehaerys tried to prevent would eventually come to pass, okay, guys? But we'll get to that later. Now, Jaehaerys dies, and we're in the 9th year of King Viserys' reign, and we meet his daughter Rhaenyra, who's flying on her dragon over King's Landing. And guys, it's so good to see King's Landing again before their ancestor Daenerys burns it all down. Anyway, Rhaenyra goes in to see her mother, Aemma, who is pregnant, and she's due any day now, okay, guys? Rhaenyra lets her mother know that she got all these servants tending to the baby that ain't even here yet. You know, what about you, Ma? Who gonna tend to you? So Aemma tells Rhaenyra that one day she'll be pregnant and know all about the discomforts, you know, one day soon. Because this discomfort is how she serves the realm. But Rhaenyra tells her mother that she'd rather serve as a knight and ride to battle in glory, okay? Sounding just like Arya, guys. Next, we get to the small council where the king and the lords are discussing matters of the realm. And look, guys, I see chocolate, okay? A black man has made it to the small council, and he's a lord too, guys, okay? So this is Lord Corlys Velaryon, and he's married to Rhaenys, the queen that was passed over and is now known as the queen who never was. So anyway, back to Lord Corlys, right? I was surprised to see that Lord Corlys is black because the Velaryons of Driftmark are also of Valyrian descent, which explains the white or silver hair. They also have purple eyes and pale skin, okay? The Velaryons are also a lesser house than the Targaryens, who were of pure Valyrian blood, all right, guys? Anyway, so that's why I was surprised to see Lord Corlys as a black man, but I was pleasantly surprised, okay? Make no mistake. So anyway, we see Rhaenyra come into the small council and she's late. This is also where we find out that she's her father's cupbearer. And it's untraditional in a way, but it makes a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? Who better than your own child? Plus, by being present during these small council meetings, Rhaenyra can learn a lot. She can also scope out a few lords on the council, you know? Anyway, we also see that the king's brother Daemon, who is commander of the city's watch, is absent from this small council meeting. We later find out that he had a plan of his own, okay, to go sit on the Iron Throne, okay, which is straight treason, all right? But that boy, he don't care, okay? And we'll get to that in a minute. But let's focus our attention real quick on Rhaenyra, who's making her rounds, okay? She's pouring wine for the lords at the table. And when she gets to Lord Corlys's cup, he covers it. Okay, so it made me wonder what that was all about. Does that mean that he doesn't trust some of these folks at the table? You know, if that's the case, he probably doesn't think the king should trust them either. But right now, he's looking out for himself, okay? Because obviously he must see that the king trusts these other dudes. Anyway, now we get back to Daemon, okay, in the Iron Throne over here, giving his niece a necklace as if he likes her or something like that. And even though these are the Targaryens, guys, I definitely am not here for that, okay? Anyway, the necklace was made from Valyrian steel, and he puts it around her neck. All right, so moving on from this scene, guys, we're going to talk some more about Daemon. He apparently is the unruly young brother, okay? And we see that he gathers the city watch, and they hit the streets of King's Landing and wreak havoc, okay? At first, it looked like they were targeting innocent folks, but then they started yelling out the crimes some of these people had committed. And the consequences of these crimes was losing body parts, okay? If you R'd someone, you got your penis chopped off. If you stole something, you got your hand chopped off. If you killed someone, off with your head. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they were out there wilding, okay? And they needed a 2-horse cart to wheel away the body parts. And when word gets back to Lord Otto Hightower, he tells the king that this kind of behavior cannot go unpunished, and a prince shouldn't act this way. So, of course, they called a meeting, and Daemon was present this time. And when Lord Otto tells him to explain his behavior, Daemon tells him that the watch was just enforcing the crown's laws. He also tells Otto that he was making the city safe for the heirs' tourney coming up, since most of King's Landing is considered lawless and terrifying. Daemon tells Lord Otto that he would know this too if he left the safety of the Red Keep once in a while. Okay, throwing some shade. So, during this meeting, you can definitely see that Lord Otto speaks more than King Viserys, okay? And Daemon sees it too, and he ain't about to roll over for nobody. But at the end of it all, Viserys tells Daemon to go and be an enforcer, but no more shenanigans like last night, or you will be punished this time, okay? Next, let's talk about Rhaenyra's friendship with Lord Otto's daughter, Alicent. So when we first see Rhaenyra, we see her join with Alicent, and they're walking arm in arm, talking, laughing, and all that stuff. Later on, we see Alicent helping Rhaenyra with her studies, and we can see that these girls are pretty much best friends, okay? At one point, I thought there might have been something more going on between them, okay? But we see that they're just close friends. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to finish this review and then come back to these two girls. Next, the heirs' tourney has begun, and so has Queen Aemma's labor. During the tourney, Borman Baratheon asks for Princess Rhaenys favor, and Otto tells the king that he should take his tongue for that. But Viserys was like, all that means nothing. It doesn't change the succession, okay? Anyway, the games continue while Queen Aemma is having all this difficulty giving birth. We find out that her baby is breech, and they call the king in to let him know that he's going to have to make a decision between the mother and child. So, of course, since Viserys believes he's having a boy, he decides to save the baby. So while all this is going on, Queen Aemma was kind of passed out, and she wakes up just in time for Viserys to tell her that they're going to get the baby out, without asking her, mind you, okay? He didn't even let her know that he decided to let them end her life to save the baby. So they pull her down all roughly and stuff to the edge of the bed, and she's screaming, no, no, please, what's happening? No, please, Viserys, right? And they just start cutting away at her belly, guys. And while she's bleeding in there, blood was being shed outside because the tourney done turned into a freaking gladiator pit almost, all right? Folks was out there getting their faces axed, okay? Anyway, back in the queen's room, they pulled the baby out, and of course she bleeds to death. And it was really sad because she did not consent to that, okay? It was really messed up, guys, you know? And on top of that, he could have at least had them put her to sleep, you know, so she didn't feel the pain. But then again, Malos did tell Viserys that they didn't want to risk the baby by giving Aemma more milk with the poppy. Anyway, as I was saying, the baby is born and we hear him crying. So it is a boy, and while he's crying, we see Daemon outside hollering victoriously. But then Sir Criston Cole comes behind Daemon and bashes him in the back, and Daemon falls to the ground. Criston Cole then tells Daemon to yield, so he does. But inside the birthing chambers, little baby Balon done died, y'all, okay, just like that. So it had me wondering if these scene sequences between Queen Aemma dying during birth and all the mayhem going on at the tourney was some type of foreshadowing of things to come, particularly the Civil War, okay? Like maybe the dudes jousting and fighting against each other represent the opposing sides that they will also be on when the real war comes. So anyway, folks, the tourney is over and they have a funeral for Queen Aemma and the baby. They use Rhaenyra's dragon to burn the body, and we hear Rhaenyra say the word Dracarys. Okay. Next, after the funeral, the small council already wants to know who the king's heir will be. So Lord Corlys, he says, by law, it should be Daemon Targaryen. Like, duh, do I have to say his name, But Lord Otto Hightower was not trying to hear that, okay? He starts coming up with all these reasons why Daemon should not be the heir. And of course, Otto brought up the incident with the City Watch. So King Viserys was like, well, it was your solution to make him Lord Commander of the City Watch. You said that he couldn't be Master of Laws because he was a tyrant. Then you said as Master of Coin, he would beggar the realm. So your solution, Lord Hightower, was to make him the commander of the City Watch. And that's when Otto was like, well, okay, but the truth is that Daemon should be far away from court. So King Viserys was like, Daemon is my brother, he's my blood, and he belongs at court. And he will have his place, right? He'll take his place. So one of the other council members speaks up and says, okay, Your Grace, keep Daemon here at your own risk if that's the case, like literally, So Viserys was like, so you're trying to say my brother would kill me? So while all this is going on, Daemon is listening to the whole conversation outside somewhere, right? Like no one can see him, but he's lurking, okay? And he's smirking here and there. And he's doing this while the council goes back and forth about why Daemon should not be the heir, like especially because they feel like he would be another Maegor the Cruel. So King Viserys was like, I had enough of this. My wife and child just died, so we're done here, you freaking crows, He should have called them vultures. Next, Lord Otto, the schemer, tells his daughter Alicent to go pay a visit to the king. He tells her to wear her mother's dress. And we obviously see, guys, where this is going. He's pimping his daughter out, okay? Because he wants to make sure that his family stays in power. So just a little side note, guys. The Hightowers are said to be like the Lannisters, especially when Tywin was in power, okay? Anyway, guys, let's get ready to wrap this up, okay? We get to a scene where Daemon buys out a brothel and he gets in trouble because he made a toast to his dead baby nephew, calling him the heir for a day. So of course Otto was the one to bring the king this news. And Daemon, he was summoned to the throne room where Viserys asked him if he really said it. Daemon didn't deny it. Long story short, Daemon starts telling Viserys that he has a council of leeches that prey on him because he's weak and they know it. He also tells Viserys that he sees Otto Hightower for what he is, a man who can't be trusted, and a see you next Tuesday, right? And someone who will not protect him. Daemon tells his brother that he would protect him. But Viserys ain't trying to hear none of that, guys, okay? Daemon is telling him facts, but Viserys feels like he can definitely trust Otto Hightower. And I believe that this is a big mistake, okay? But Viserys goes on to tell Daemon that he has to leave court and return to Runestone with his wife immediately, okay? And do it without quarrel. But the most significant thing that Viserys tells Daemon is that he's decided to name a new heir. So Daemon is no longer the heir. That's when we get to the next scene where King Viserys apologizes to Rhaenyra for stepping over her all these years and always wanting a son. Then he names her his heir. He tells her that this is not a trivial gesture. You know what I'm saying? Sitting on the Iron Throne could be a dangerous thing. He even mentioned the coming of the long night that Aegon the Conqueror saw in a dream. And it was understood that they needed the dragons to fight this war that would come in many, many years, okay? Viserys also tells Rhaenyra that Aegon's dream was called a Song of Ice and Fire. And it's a secret that has been passed down from king to heir since Aegon was on the throne. And now Rhaenyra must promise to keep this secret, to carry it and protect it. So now the lords come to the throne room to pledge fealty to Rhaenyra as the new heir. We got Baratheons, Valerian, Stark, and another Hightower. So I do want to mention that Borman Baratheon looks like he's going to be a problem, guys. Because he acted like he didn't want to kneel and pledge fealty. Like he was just standing there, you know what I'm saying? And Rhaenyra, she gave him a look. Now, I feel like Rhaenyra is going to be like something to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? I didn't finish the book, guys. I have a little bit of information from the book because I started reading it, but I didn't finish it because I don't want spoilers. All right. But we shall see when it comes to this dude Baratheon. All right. Borman. So that's how the episode ended, guys. And I really enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. I look forward to this civil war. And speaking of civil war, let's talk about this beloved friendship between Rhaenyra and Alicent, as I promised before. Now, this is a spoiler from the books, guys, so if you don't want to hear it, it's time to turn the video off in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so as we saw earlier, Otto Hightower sent his daughter Alicent into King Viserys' chambers, okay? And I want to let you guys know that much will become of this, all right? Alicent will marry Viserys, and she will give him a male heir. But remember, Rhaenyra is still the heir, right? But when Viserys dies, a few folks, including Alicent, they're going to undermine the king's decision to have Rhaenyra as the heir. And folks start scheming to put the male heir on the throne. And that's how the Targaryen civil war begins, aka the Dance of Dragons. And, it really gets brutal, guys, really gets brutal. But like I said, I haven't finished reading the book, and I do want to stop because I want to be surprised like everybody else, okay? Now, that could have been considered a major spoiler to y'all, but to me, it's kind of minor because a lot of people already know about the Dance of Dragons and stuff like that. So these girls that started out as friends, they are going to become enemies. And at the same time, when you watch the trailer of the season, you see Alicent going after Rhaenyra with a knife. Like, she's trying to take her out, guys. So it's not really that much of a spoiler when they show it in the trailer. You know what I'm saying? But guys, when you think about all of this and how these people did not respect the wishes of the king, the heir that he chose was Rhaenyra. So why the heck are these other people? And I'm sure Otto Hightower is going to be a part of the people that are going to be undermining, Viserys' wishes, okay? Why, if he chose an heir, regardless if it was a female or not, why, if he chose the heir, do y'all feel the need to undermine him, okay? This definitely reminds me of Game of Thrones when King Robert Baratheon died, and he told Ned Stark to write out, his last will and testament. But we saw that in the will, Ned Stark puts rightful heir. So when he presents it to everyone in the throne room and Cersei looks at it, what does she do? She rips it up. So it's a whole thing where now it gets out that Joffrey is not the true heir and that he's a bastard. So now we got a whole war breaking out, the War of the Five Kings. So it's like the death of Robert Baratheon was kind of like a 2.0 situation of the Dance of Dragons, even though it's not the same because this is a civil war between family, all right, when it comes to the Targaryens. This is the demise of their house. This is the reason why when we finally get to Game of Thrones, there's only 4 Targaryens left. No, 3 Targaryens left, right? We know that we got Aemon Targaryen at the wall. We got Viserys and Daenerys. So it's 3 of them, but we didn't know that Jon Snow was one as well. Okay. So yeah, they were the demise of their own house, and all the dragons were dead as well. And then Daenerys was lucky enough to get 3 dragons because normally 1 dragon, I think, hatches to a Targaryen, something like that. Anyway, so we're not going to get into all of that, guys, but yeah, this is how it is when you undermine the king. And this is why King Jaehaerys, he called that vote so that a war would not take place. And unfortunately, that's what's going to happen anyway. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.